Hi guys! So today's going to be a Tuesday talk. That's what I'm going to call these videos. Like when I just sit down and talk to you guys, I'm going to call them Tuesday talks, and today's topic is going to be all about my adoption. It's something that I haven't really ever talked about in depth. The only time I ever have gotten deep into the subject is during my senior project. You pick a topic and then you research it the entire year. You do like initiative on it, so you take it into action, and then you do a presentation on it. And it's like half of your grade. But mine was about my adoption and just that topic in general. When I presented mine at the end of the year, I got super emotional about it. And I think the only reason I did was because that was the first time I ever really spoke about it, like, deeply in front of everyone, especially in front of other people. Like, I've talked about my adoption like to my really good friends, but nothing like in front of a group of people and being graded on it. I know this isn't like too great because this is what a lot of people want to know, but I don't know a lot about my adoption. All I know is that I'm from the Philippines. I was born in Manila in the Philippines, and I really don't know anything about my parents, my biological parents, or my background, or my family, if I do still have a family over there, or at all. And I'm sorry if I say or this subject makes me feel a little anxious when I talk about it. But my mom, I know she was super young when she had me. I don't know exactly how old she was. Again, I don't really know anything about her or my father, but she was super young, and my mom and I were talking, my adopted mom and I were talking about this the other day, and she was saying, from what she understands, the main reason she gave me up for adoption was because she was so young and she was trying to take care of her brothers and sisters. So I obviously had a large family. I just don't know how many I had, how many family members. I know close to nothing about my biological parents and my background, my history, and my culture. It's funny though, because where I work now, someone stayed with us a few months ago, and he was a doctor, and he was just talking to me, like making up small talk, and I brought up the fact that I was adopted, and then he brought up this DNA test that I could take. I think it's called 23andMe, and you basically just order it online, and then you get this huge box of tests that you, like, I think you swab your mouth with like a cotton swab, and then you send it out and you get back your results, and there's so many different tests for it, like there's so many different things you can take. So when I'm gonna get emotional. When my parents that I have now had my brother, who is 6.5 years older than me, my mom just had a really bad pregnancy. So many health problems. It was not an easy pregnancy for her, and she was going through a lot of problems herself as well. My mom and my dad, I think they always wanted to adopt, and my dad was supporting this girl through a group in his church. When I was 18, no, I think I was still 17. My senior year, I was still 17 for Christmas. My parents gave me their journals from the time that they were going through the process of adopting me, and it's just a journal they kept for what they were mentally going through, just the process. They didn't give it to me until that year because they wanted me to fully understand everything. And I remember on Christmas morning, this was the last present opened, and I sat down and read this is my dad's. His handwriting's so awful, it took me like 4 hours to read his, but this was his journal right here, and this was my mom's. And again, she was very religious, so this is a verse from the Bible. I'm going to try to find some of my favorite entries that they wrote in these. Every single day I wake up and I'm so thankful and grateful to have the family that I do and be where I am and live the life that I do. If I wasn't adopted, I would most likely either not exist or be living in poverty. So for that, I am forever eternally grateful. Going through the process of adoption, my mom now had a lot of anxiety about it. Not about adopting me, just the process. And she was very religious, and she at the time didn't know she was doing the right thing and following the path that God had given her, or if she was going against her own will or going too fast. And the main reason my mom didn't want to have another pregnancy was because there were so many complications with her first pregnancy with my brother, and a lot of health issues that followed after that she has thankfully overcome. The difference between my mom and my dad's journals is my mom's is like over time, so like different days, and my dad's is basically just documenting the entire week he was in the Philippines, because my dad was the only one to go to the Philippines and pick me up. It was just too expensive for them at the time to go as a family, like my mom, my dad, and my brother. So he was the one that went and picked me up, and he just documented every single day. But oh god, someone that was really, really important to my adoption and just my being here was my Memere, who I never met. Oh god. She was a huge part of me being here. And the reason she was so important to my adoption was because she was a very religious woman, and she prayed a lot for this to happen. I'll try to read this passage that my dad wrote in his journal about her. He says, "I also thought about a woman you will never meet. She is my grandmother, who we all call Memere, who died this past March. She was a wonderful, fun, inspirational woman who I miss very much. You will never meet her. She had a part to play in your adoption. In early October, while we were waiting for the INS to give the final okay, I was getting more and more anxious to get you home. One night I had a dream where I was looking for you. One night I had a dream while I was looking for your picture to show to people at a party. And while there were some people I knew, there were also a lot of strangers. So there I was, worried because I couldn't find you, and worried because we were surrounded by strangers. Deep down, I was worried about you. Then suddenly Memere appeared in my dream. But it wasn't like a dream. Rather, she inserted herself into my dream. She looked right at me and told me that you were safe, and that I didn't have to worry. She then disappeared from the dream when I woke up. From then on, I knew you were fine." And then following that, my dad says, "Memere was deeply religious in a way that permeated her being, her heart, her mind. I believe that such people can be a positive force in your life, even if they have gone to the other side. While I, of course, can never prove it, most of the dream was just that, a dream. But Memere's message was real, and it came from beyond my own mind." And I do believe that's possible, that people that have passed over to the other side can still be a part of your life and affect you. But she, from what I know and from what I hear, she was a very, very wonderful, inspirational woman. Extremely religious. She prayed and prayed and prayed for this adoption to go through. I wish I could have met her and just thanked her for everything she's done. Sometimes people ask me how I feel about being adopted and if I ever had any resentment or hate towards my biological parents, and I never have, ever. Not for 1 second. If anything, I have been more grateful and thankful for the choice that they made to give me up for adoption, because without them choosing to give me up for adoption, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have the family that I have. I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. I don't even know if I'd be alive. I can't put into words how grateful I am to be here. I very often wonder where I'd be or what I would be doing if I wasn't adopted, because in Manila, in the journal my dad wrote, he was saying that the place that he stayed in the town of Manila was just very, very disturbing to see. Poverty-ridden families just on the streets. He said that one day he was just going for a walk to explore and take a look around town, and when he walked back, when he started walking towards this little, like, busy street that he thought was just like a little street of shops or something. He noticed that there were people outside sleeping, and young kids and women and people just sleeping outside, and he started to feel really uncomfortable, so he started to walk back. And on his way walking back, he noticed a little boy following him, and when he turned around, he held out his hand as to beg for money, and my dad was just so taken back by it, and his first instinct was to stop and give him money, but he said that he felt if he did stop and give him money, that he thought the little boys, like older brothers or siblings or whoever, would start asking him for more money, and he just didn't feel safe. And knowing that kind of living situation was right there in front of his face where I was born, really just breaks my heart and makes me think how grateful I am to be living the life that I do. More often than not, I wonder if I wasn't adopted, would I still feel like the same person? I also think it's actually really cool that I may or may not have other family members, biological family members, still out there. I don't know how many I have. I do plan on taking that 23andMe DNA test. I know absolutely nothing about her besides the fact that she was extremely young and she felt that she couldn't take care of a kid because she was taking care of all of her siblings, which I don't even know if they are still around or if she's still around. I do definitely plan on going back to the Philippines and just experiencing that culture, and I don't know if I would want to find my biological parents because my adoption is, I think, partially closed, or it was partially open, but it is for the most part a closed adoption, which means the families are separate. Like, there's no contact in between them. There was for a very brief time when I was first adopted, not from my parents now to my biological parents, but they would have to send pictures and updates to, I think, the adoption agency just to update them on how I was doing physically and everything like that. They would have to send pictures every month or so, I think, but there was never any contact between my biological parents and my parents now because it was a closed adoption. There are different types of adoptions, if you guys don't know that. I can't even begin to describe to you guys how thankful and grateful I am for my family now. They have done so much for just accepting me into their life and giving me unconditional love. And I'm so grateful that I have such a big family. Not an immediate family, but just a large family in general. I have so many aunts and uncles, so many cousins, soon, I hope I have nieces and nephews. Brother. I literally can't even put into words how grateful I am and thankful I am. So, I just wanted to say to all of you, pretty much, if you have a family or people you consider your family that just genuinely love you and want to see you succeed and want the best for you, please tell them you love them every single day. Don't ever take them for granted. So now I'm going to read some of the passages that really just touched me in my parents' journals. I already read you one about my Memere, but I'm going to read you a couple more from my dad's. This one is talking about the little boy that he passed in the street that asked him for money. And he says, "As I passed back by the families, a little boy in just a t-shirt, a boy probably only 3 years old, began to follow me and hold out his hand to beg for some money. It was very disturbing. My heart said to stop and give him something, especially since he was walking near a lot of traffic and could get hurt. But my head feared that if I stopped, some of his bigger brothers might decide to see if I had more money. My reason for being here is to pick you up and bring you home, and I couldn't let anything jeopardize that." This was the night before my dad picked me up, and I just really liked this passage that he wrote. He says, "Your mother and I have been working at this for a year, so I guess that gave us time to mentally to mentally prepare for your arrival. My only real concern is for you. Tonight you're sleeping in your own crib, surrounded by the sights, smells, sounds, and faces you have known your whole life. You cannot know what awaits you tomorrow. By this time tomorrow, you'll be away from everything you know, and you'll be in a new place with a total stranger. That would be me. I'll do my best to calm your fears. It will be a most interesting day. I love that he says it'll be a most interesting day. I think that's so cute. And I really liked this one too. This is from, he was writing on the plane on our way back. This was September 30th, 1995, 9:15 Eastern Time. And he says, you made a friend on the plane of a young Japanese man. He was in his early 20s and looked surprisingly like an Asian version of your Uncle Russell. He gave you a traditional Japanese toy as a gift, which hopefully you still have. I have no idea if I still have that. I have to ask him. This is the end of my dad's journal. The arrival at the airport in Provence is a bit fuzzy in my mind, so I'm glad we have it on tape. And I will put in some clips and pictures of that day. And he says, well, that's what happened to you and me in the week that you came home. I hope this helps you understand what happened and lets you know the joy I felt of having you accept me as your father and bringing you home. I thank God that we have been brought together and pray that all those... My dad's handwriting is so awful, I'm sorry. And pray that all those... and pray that all those included feel the peace and joy they deserve for helping to bring you to your home. I'm going to read some passages from my mom's journal now. And the first one I thought was so freaking cute. This is from September 1st, 1995. And the first passage she wrote was about the fact that they got the call and they said, you're going to be having a baby. Not physically, but like the process was starting for the adoption. And she says, Brother Sam and Cousin Nathan were having lunch at our house when Dad called. And when I told them we had a baby, they laughed and yelled and hugged each other and almost fell off the sofa. I thought that was so cute. I grew up with my brother and cousin. We spent probably every single day together. I was one of the boys. Sort of. Not really. I was talking about my mom having anxiety about the adoption, wondering if she was just doing the right thing. And she writes in her journal and she says, at one point I was going through a lot of anxiety about whether Dad and I were doing the right thing. I desired with all my heart to adopt you. This anxiety didn't have anything to do with you. But I did wonder if we were really acting accordingly to God's best will for us. And like I said, my parents were very religious at the time. Were we changing ahead to fulfill our own will, just because it seemed better to our human view? And I spent a lot of time asking God, Lord, am I doing the right thing? Did I move ahead in my own will? Did I miss your will somewhere in here? Did I just chicken out from childbirth because of my fear of suffering again, as I suffered the first time? And she did have a lot of health complications, and there were a lot of postpartum health problems she experienced and that followed after that. These fears were the main driving force behind my desire to adopt. At the time, Dad and I settled on that decision. It seemed clearly the right thing to do. And then another passage from my mom's journal says, change always feels awkward and uncomfortable until you adjust to new routines, new schedules, new demands, new responsibilities. But considering you have only been with us 4 months, I think we are all adjusting to each other very well. You seem to like us, and of course we are totally in love with you. We may not be a perfect family to you at all times, but no family is perfect, including birth families. Just being related to a person is certainly no guarantee that you can also get along with the person. They say that blood is thicker than water, but love is stronger than both. Our love for you is not only a feeling, but a promise that we have made. Our feelings may change from day to day, but our promise to love you is for always. And like my mom said about families not being perfect, my family that I have now isn't perfect, for sure. We're not perfect at all. But I would not want my life to be any other way. I wouldn't want to have any other family, be from any other background, have any different life. I'm so eternally grateful for the life that I have and the family that I have and all the love that I've been given. And when I first read these journals, I don't think I fully understood, but recently reread them, maybe this past December, and it just reminded me how grateful I am, and in a way it kind of made me want to give back, not just to the town that I'm from, Manila, but just in general, because I've had so much love and acceptance given to me. I want to give that to other people and let people feel loved and enjoy life and be thankful for where they're from. That's truly my one and only goal in life, is I just genuinely want to give back to people. And my family's not perfect. We fight all the time, we argue, I yell at my brother all the time. We're not perfect, but I love my family so much. I literally can't even put into words how much love and appreciation I have for them. And I have no idea if my biological parents are still alive, but if you are, I just want to thank you for what you've given me. But I will throw in some clips of home videos and some pictures so you guys can see. I want you guys to just take a minute and really just appreciate the people that you have in your life, whether it's family, friends. Tell the people you love that you love them, not because you want to hear it back, but just because you genuinely need it. And I just wanted to quickly add in, I forgot to mention it before, but when my dad picked me up, he missed Thanksgiving for the first time in his life. It was the first time he missed Thanksgiving ever, but in his journal he was writing that he said his dad, my Pepe, drove him up to the airport to drop him off. And on his way back, my Pepe was saying that he was a nervous wreck because my dad's still his son and he still worries, but he was grateful that if he was going to miss that Thanksgiving, there was no better reason for him to miss one. And I also just wanted to thank my dad. Traveling across the world to pick up your daughter is just something I will eternally be grateful for. And I love you so much. There's never a day where I don't say I love you to my parents, at least once. I'm so grateful for them. You guys have no idea. So I think that completes this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this little Tuesday talk with me, and I can't wait to start doing more of these. Let me know in the comments down below what other Tuesday talks you guys would like to see, and I will start planning them out for you. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for all of your support so far. It means the world. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Mm.